Welcome back to Conversations with Neighbours, the show where we sit down with the people and businesses that make our community stronger. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Gerrit from First Choice Roofing. If you live in Newmarket or York region, you've probably heard of First Choice. They're a true family business that's been serving homeowners for more than 30 years. Started by Gerrit's father, Steve, back in 1991, First Choice Roofing has built a reputation on honesty, quality, workmanship, and personal service. Steve still does every estimate himself, and now with Gerrit stepping in to help carry the family tradition forward, the business continues to grow while staying rooted in the values that made it a success in the first place. We're going to talk about what it's like to be part of a family-run roofing company, and how they have built trust in the community, and what the future looks like for First Choice Roofing. Gerrit, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys reaching out. It means a lot to us that obviously you invited me on the show. And again, just happy to be here. It's been a long time since I did a podcast like this, but I'm happy to do it, especially for a local company as well, for Newmarket, Aurora, et cetera. And this is our heart and our soul, our area, if you want to say.
I love it. First, what's it like growing up in a roofing family?
That's pretty unique. I will say I've had a business-oriented mindset from a very young age. Both my parents didn't come from a lot. My dad was an immigrant, and his dad was a farmer who lost his dad when he was young. And my mom came from a very poor family of 5 or 6 siblings as well. So when they met each other in college, she was in accounting and he was taking small business, and was already working as a roofing contractor. He started roofing when he was 14 years old. He actually just passed 41 or 42 years this year of being in roofing. And so to say it was a business-oriented mindset from the beginning would be an understatement, but it was pretty clear that Dad was often working a lot. And it's not necessarily because he was driven to have lots of money or anything. It was driven because he needed things to be right, and he wanted to do things himself, so that way things could get done right for people. And Mom takes care of the accounting, so he goes out and installs the roofs, and she handles the money, and it's a true family business that way.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Can you go a little deeper in your dad's story a little bit? You know, immigrating to the country was it from Netherlands?
From the Netherlands, Friesland specifically.
Where?
Friesland. It's kind of like the Quebec of the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Yeah, anything that you could share on from his story coming into the country and then to leading up to starting the business.
So my dad's dad, my grandpa, he was able to come across with family relations tied to Simon & Sons Windows and Doors. And when they came to Canada from the Netherlands, Seba was his name, Seba's Aluminum. He worked for Simon & Sons and then for a few other people as well. When you don't have a lot of education, especially as an immigrant family, you have to take what you can get. And you build connections through who you know. And eventually, my grandpa ended up working for a guy named Willie. We actually still keep in touch with Willie as of a couple weeks ago for some roofing work. And it was Willie's roofing that my grandpa started working there. And naturally, as the family had no money and they had 3 young children, my dad is the middle child of 3. I think he's got an older brother, 1 year older, and then a younger brother, 2 or 3 years younger. So anyways, 3 young children. There's lots of bills to pay. And obviously, as an immigrant, you know, the only way to go is to go up, right? And so my dad ended up getting a job at Willie's Roofing with my grandpa when he was 13 or 14 years old in order to help pay bills, basically. And naturally, coming from a poor family, he decided he did not want to continue to live the way they were. And so he was able to use the money he made roofing to get himself a college education at Georgian College, I think in Barrie there, and where he went in for business. And he completed 3 of the 4 semesters. He didn't end up graduating because the 4th semester required him to do a co-op. But at that point, he was already working in roofing And at that point, he would have had to quit his job to go work for free in order to get his diploma. And at that point, I think he was subcontracting off of Willie, running his own crew. And at that point, from 20 years old on, he ended up starting First Choice Roofing and going from there. He established First Choice in 1991, which would put it at 23 years old, 22 years old. But
34. Yeah. 34 years old, because I know this because I'm born in 1991. So that's easy. I'm not good at math, but I know because I just turned 34. So 34 years now. Yeah.
So I guess it took him his 20s to really establish the company, because back then it was a lot easier also to do things without registering everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So he's been on his own, running his own roofing crew and company since basically he was 22 years old, and, subcontracting off of people. And it was just a driven mindset of, I want this to be right. And man, I still work with the guy on a daily basis, and I can't tell you how many times I'm wrong a day because it needs to be perfect.
It's a good trait to have. And to get involved that young, like 13, 14, right? Mm-hmm. Build it up and then go to school to kind of learn the business part of it. Mm-hmm. And then even be like, okay, I've learned all the business stuff. This last little piece is go do something that I'm already doing, except I get paid for it now. So forget that. We don't really need the piece of paper. I got the skills and the knowledge, so let's just go for it. And
exactly.
Then obviously, those early business days is just like a grind, and you're just getting after it. And then you're like, oh, okay. You start to build and start to snowball, get properly registered and, actually get the company going again. Right? So that is amazing. Now, growing up in it, right? Did you always want to be part of the family business, or was it just like, I like business, but I don't know if it's in roofing? Like, how did you think about it growing up with the family business?
To be honest, I never thought of myself as getting into the family business until I went to university for automotive engineering. And forever, I actually wanted to be an automotive engineer in regards to like aerodynamics on Formula One cars. And where that kind of comes from is my dad and his brothers raced stock cars for 30 years at Sunset Speedway and around the province, like NASCAR style. And they ran it out of their garage as well and did all the work themselves as well. So racing was our sport in the family. Everyone's got their sport. Racing was our sport. And so I was kind of bred into it. I myself have also raced, and I continue to race to this day. But that's where I wanted to go. And when I went into my classroom of 300 plus students, all in the same program as me, I looked around and I kind of thought, I'm one class of like 10, 12 classes in Ontario with 300 students. And not that I didn't want to do engineering. I said there was a better opportunity that I felt like I would be better off with, because the other piece of it is some of my cousins have turned into engineers, or my older cousins, if you'd say that, of my dad's generation. Mm-hmm. And they all talk about how much they just sit in an office and they look forward to getting outside. And that was not necessarily me. I had worked landscaping, working outside all through high school to save money for college and university. And eventually I said, well, there is an opportunity here, and I don't think I want to spend the rest of my life at a desk.
Yeah.
So when I was 18, I started working with my dad instead of landscaping for the summer money to continue to pay for school. And I switched my my program from engineering to small business and entrepreneurship at the college. And I completed that, and then decided to go into carpentry and renovations to hopefully fledge out part of the business and add my own side of it eventually.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. So then you do that, you finish school then, right? Yeah. So now you're done school. Now it's like, okay, now what direction am I going into? Am I building something on the side here? Am I going into the family biz? Like, what's that next stage now that you know that you want to be either like adjacent to it or like, integrated into it in some capacity? You don't want to be inside in a desk.
Yes.
That is determined.
Yes.
So now we're kind of on this next path, but now you're done school. So it's like, what are we doing next?
So I've been full-time with the company, like we're, 10, 12 months a year for the last 3 years or so. Time flies, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, so I want to continue the roofing side. That's my heart and soul of it, because a lot of our customers continue to ask us, like, well, what happens when you're out of business? My dad is in the last 10 years of his business, let's say, of roofing. It's a hard job. So then the answer is, well, I'm here. I'm here to help, and I'm here to take care of the community. So when you have your roofing problems, you can still call us, and I'll know what's under the roof because I'm the one who installed it, or my dad installed it and I learned everything I know from him about roofing.
Yeah.
But regarding my home building / renovation side, that was something I kind of project into my 30s and 40s. I'm 26 now. That was a little bit of a, not a secondary goal, but kind of a long-term goal. And part of that was I wanted to start by buying my own home as a renovation project. And I ended up buying a bank foreclosure home just this previous February, March. And boy, is it a disaster. You could say I bought it for the foundation and the walls, and that's about it. But this was kind of my experiment to say, do I like doing this, and do I want to do this in the future? But roofing is my main priority until I decide eventually 10, 20 years from now that maybe I want to build a home once I'm a little more stable.
Yeah. And, you could build up and could do both things, right?
Exactly, right.
You have because, as the succession of like a company that's been in business for a long time, right? Have lots of repeat customers, referrals and things of that nature. And, even though it's still got a small feel to it, right? Like you got good crew, right? You got a good system in place. And then you can kind of be over here and dial in those skills of like building, flipping houses, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll get through your first one and be like, I never want to do that again.
Yeah. I actually just finished putting the kitchen into my house just last week, and I'm still not complete yet. There's still so much work to do.
Yeah.
But I will say I have loved the experience. And even talking about it with our employees as well. One of my main employees, Kelly is his name. He does drywall work, and he's done all the drywall work in my house. Yeah. As tradesmen always pick up skills, and with roofing, it is very seasonal. We just do not install shingles in January and February. It's not as, like, from the quality side, you don't get as good of a quality of a roof. There's a lot more room for error, and with how hard the job is, anyways, you want the vacation, but. That opens the opportunity, and part of this was the opportunity for winter work. So that way we can keep everybody working 12 months a year. So that way, if we want to take a week off in the summer, there's that option. And it's not so much pressure to work every week in the summer because I know I won't work in the winter. Yeah. So it gives you some options. And on top of that, it's always important to, as you know, diversify your skills.
Yeah, for sure. From working with your dad, like, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned from him?
It's important to treat people right, and not necessarily, and that's in every aspect, but especially your customer. And it's important to do things right for your customer. Going through business school, being a young, ambitious guy, of course, I'm like, we just got to spend money on advertising and reach out to all these other people and do this and do this and do this. And really, the biggest thing I've learned is none of that matters if your word of mouth isn't right. Yeah. And it's about being fair in your pricing. It's about being honest about your work and being upfront about it, and just doing a good job. It's why I say my dad drives me crazy sometimes because I don't do things to the T, where you can, it's going to work and it's not going to leak, but is it right?
Yeah. Is it perfect?
Is it perfect? Is it how it should be? Is it up to the first choice standard? And my dad has spent very little on advertising for 30 years, and he's never run out of work, to say the least. The only thing we do is we sponsor a Christian school in Woodbridge and Vaughan, where I actually went to school, and local churches and charities, and get your name in the phone book. And just 2 years ago, we just started using Google Ads for the first time to actually start getting some repair calls like that, because eventually you got to conform. But
you got to get on the internet eventually.
Right? Yeah. But anyways, so that's also 5-6 years ago. I built our website from what it was, which was just basically a business card online, and So I had to rebuild the website there at least to, continue to stay modern. And it's all about word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you've kind of answered a few of them, but like you've decided to say, I don't want to say you small, but like not try to scale up, right?
Yeah.
And I think you've answered a lot of it, Doak, but maybe touch on like making sure it's right, like treating the customer right. And I think that you have to stay at a consistent level of that. It's like, is that the mentality behind it?
And ironically, that's the first thing I wanted to do out of business school is how can we scale this? Scale this and go big. Because when you're young and you're like a little arrogant, you're just thinking, how can I make a lot of money and serve a lot of people? And
and you're like, I have something to prove, but
I have something to prove. Exactly. And over the last 3 years, I turned 25 last year, and maybe that's settled me down a bit. I've really understood that it's truly just about serving people. I've really kind of embraced that over the last couple of years because it seems it's become less and less common these days. And I've really understood how hard it is to keep your community going, especially now that I've gone into the home ownership game of owning your own house. And I go, well, there's a lot of work to do here. Yeah. And then the next piece was, man, it was difficult to find somebody honest and reliable for a price on plumbing or a price on electrical in order to get things done. And that's what kind of shifted my mindset from it's all about proving something and scaling to it's about being somebody that everybody wants to call.
Yeah.
And if you end up scaling, it's because that many people want to call you. It's not because you tried to go big. It's because you continue to do the right things.
Yeah, you're trusted, you're recommended.
Yeah. And our employees, we have less than 5 employees. It's me, my dad, and 2 other guys right now. We're just thinking about bringing a third one in order to help with some big jobs. But it's mainly because I want good employees that I like working with and that care about doing things right as well. And until I get those people, I'm not just going to bring in anybody just to get more work or get more done. It's about keeping it consistent.
Yeah. I think that's the right mindset, really. What do you think customers value the most when they're looking for a roofer?
It's roofing is a very difficult trade to find honest people. I feel like the main thing people would look for, honestly, to say is to not get ripped off.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, but there's a lot of flyby roofers. Just less than a month ago, we had a call from an elderly lady of somebody who came knocking on her door and saying you have shingles all over, went up on the roof. And from our evaluation, it looked like he had ripped shingles up and threw them down.
Yeah.
And then overcharged her to put a tarp on the roof and then said, oh, I can be back tomorrow to do the roof at X amount. And eventually we had a neighbor got involved because it was just an elderly lady on her own. And the neighbor was like, whoa, what's
going on here? Yeah.
And then when they told us the price, we said, geez, we can do it for half. And we're all quality people as well. And it was just a flyby roofer trying to look for work to rip off a vulnerable person. And that's why I say it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of that out there. The roofing industry is it's hit and miss. So it's important to do your due diligence with the companies that you look into. And it's almost, I don't like to say this, but like if a roofer comes knocking on your door, you almost shouldn't trust that guy.
Yeah.
Because then there's people not calling him.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing people look for is just honesty. And you always got to get 3 prices. I'll give you a price, but you should call 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
Call 2 more companies, look at the reviews, see what people are saying.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. Like everything you said there is perfect on it. The roofing business today, like what type of roofs are we putting on? Like what are the different styles that are going on top of houses now? Like,
so your bread and butter is asphalt shingle roofs. They're a fiberglass base, and then they're kind of coated in asphalt and given all the colors. So that's basically
that's like your classic, what you normally see.
That's your bread and butter. If you were to go home and look at your house, there's 9 out of 10 times it's probably a shingle roof. And those roofs last anywhere from 20 to 25 years. Right now, the average shingle roof lasts about 22 to 23 years in Canada. That's
unless a guy comes knocking on your door.
Unless a guy comes knocking on your door.
Put it on, yeah.
And the other products that you can install, the other biggest one that you see is steel roofing. And the big thing with steel is that it's permanent. As long as it's installed properly, you can't say it lasts forever, because who knows if it lasts forever, but I've seen roofs that are 50 to 80 years old. And as long as sometimes you got to replace fasteners and, nothing is maintenance free, that. But the roof itself is quality where it should last you 50 plus years. And the other big thing with your material is, and I try to explain this to people, is it's not so much about the material that you install. It's about the contractor that's putting it on. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter how good the steel is. If he puts it on wrong, it's not going to work right. So that's the biggest thing. And then you really get into designer stuff or luxurious stuff. You see a lot of that in King City or Aurora and really anywhere. But cedar shake is a very popular one that you love to look at because it makes your house look like gold.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. Then there's designer synthetic slates, which is kind of like rubbery plastic synthetics. And then true slate as well. You don't really see that around here. That's just in the city. That's kind of old stone, quite literally stone roofs. But your bread and butter is your asphalt shingles. And it's just, again, it's more about the installer than it is the product, because a lot of the products are so competitive and so close together that it's more just about who's putting it on and what precautions are they taking and following instructions.
Yeah. Are there any trends that you've been noticing? Maybe roofs, but also like exteriors of the house, right? Like
blacks and grays.
Yeah.
Blacks and grays. Everybody wants a black or a gray roof. The charcoal grays, the black roofs, everybody wants black aluminum trims and charcoal gray siding. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be putting a black roof and charcoal gray siding on my house.
I was just thinking, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I think we're doing like an Arctic white board and I want like a dark roof.
Yes,
and like
exactly.
Dark eavesdrop.
It's all blacks, whites, and grays right now. And they look fantastic. If I had any recommendation, I would say don't put black aluminum on your house because that stuff, it gets, it's the hottest in the sun and it gets very wavy sometimes. True. So that's something I would avoid. Go anything but black for your aluminum. Go black on the roof. Go black on the siding. Yeah. Just don't do black aluminum.
So like, what's it mean to you to kind of be in the family business now? You've grown up in it, but like kind of carry it on as, your dad's obviously still in it, but like you said, he's probably maybe a decade more of like actual working stuff. It's, he deserves to take a rest, even if he probably doesn't want to. But
he doesn't want to at all.
What's it mean to kind of carry on the family biz?
It didn't mean a lot in the beginning, and the older I've gotten, and the more time I spend in the business. This is my seventh year in the business. The more I get into it, the more it means to me and the more I'm starting to appreciate it, because obviously, and everybody I'm sure who's over the age of 25 or 30 or 40 would say it is, as the years go by, you learn to appreciate it. And in the beginning, I was so arrogant to say, when are you going to be done? When can I just run this and do it my way? And now I find myself saying, man, if my dad's not coming to work with me, it's going to be a very different feeling. And how fortunate I am to spend every day working with my dad. And even on another side, my mom she's very much accountant and she has other part-time jobs as well, like doing accounting for other businesses as well. But on the day-to-day, working with your dad and especially with construction, you get a lot of work satisfaction. Yeah. We show up to some places that look absolutely terrible. Today, we literally resheeted a roof this morning, taking the old plywood off, putting new on and a new roof. Man, there's a lot of satisfaction in showing up and going, that looks awful. And when we leave, it looks brand new. And the little things I'm starting to appreciate more and more every day, especially working with the family. And I'm sure one day I'll look back at these years and go, man, I'd kill to work with my dad and do a roof again, because eventually he's not going to do another roof. And there will be a day where it just won't be the same, and it's still important to do all the things like dad would do. And I'm sure I'll become more like him when he's gone. because, dad would tell me this is wrong. So now I need to make sure it's right, because there's no one else. So it definitely means more and more by the day and by the year.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think you got a good mindset on it now, even being aware of that now.
Yeah.
And then this, and what did you say, you turned 24, 25?
26 this
26.
year.
Like, yeah, obviously, like I'm 34 now. So it's like,
time flies.
It's just like, you appreciate these things more. So I think you have the right mindset on it now too.
Yeah.
All right. Before we close it up here. So what's one piece of advice you'd give a homeowner before hiring a roofer? I think you already mentioned it, but what would it be?
My one piece of advice would be get 3 prices and make sure all 3 prices are from legitimate companies. There's a lot of uninsured companies, a lot of roofers that like to do things for cash, and their price is going to be cheaper than mine. But the difference is that when my guy falls off a roof, there's insurance and there's coverage and there's licensing, and we pay taxes to contribute to the community. And it's not all just under the table cash deals. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a reputable company, and find, as it's hard to say this for people who want to be new businesses, but do your due diligence to see what their experience is. What have they done this before? Are they going to do a good job? Let's see some of their work from before, but just look for honest and legitimate companies. And it's unfortunate that that's what it comes to, but it seems in roofing, that's the big thing. If you find legitimate companies, licensed roofers, you should be okay.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. When we got the phone call, I was thinking, really, somebody wants to talk to us?
Yes.
But I'm really happy to have come here, and especially for the local area. Like I say, Newmarket, Aurora, East Goldenberry, it is our bread and butter. We have lived in Newmarket my dad has lived in it his entire life, and I've lived here for 26 years. So I don't see myself leaving Newmarket anytime soon.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Myles.
Bye.